Welcome back to the greatest podcast ever assembled, Mixed Reactions. I am your host, Casey Merritt, along with my two co-hosts, Ian Blackwell and Justin Duncan. How are you fellas doing today?
Chest cold, but I'm hanging in there.
I hear that. Chest colds are never fun this time of year. I myself was painfully sick yesterday, actually. Recovering nicely today, so I feel you on that. How you doing, Ian?
Looking for a
Miss
potato.
Mr. Blackwell, you still heating up your potato?
No, I'm here, dude. I'm sorry, I had it on mute. No, what I was gonna say was the Rams continue to prove me wrong. They've already, I think, doubled. They were at 5 wins right now. We've doubled the win total, but we're gonna get into all that. But yeah, it's getting pretty windy here, but it's UNLV's rolling, so it's a pretty good time to watch sports. How was your guys'
It
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was beautiful, man. Spent it with family, ate a bunch of food, got to watch some football, got to watch my Cowboys just absolutely dominate the Commanders. That was always fun. But you know what hasn't been fun, guys?
My life.
Actually, hold on. Before I say that, how was your Thanksgiving, Justin and Ian? I didn't mean to be
My,
rude
my
there. I
Thanksgiving
apologize.
mine was pretty good. It had a lot of food. I didn't burn the turkey. That's always
That's
good.
always good.
Um, tried a new sweet potato dish, which was actually really fantastic. It went over well with some extra brown sugar and some pecans. It was really good.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, actually. Mr. Blackwell, how was your Thanksgiving, sir?
Yeah, I just watched a lot of football, a little bit of basketball. Found out that Arkansas is a middle school team at times, and they swear to God they had 3 technical fouls. So my Thanksgiving was a pretty frustrating one, but glad to hear that you guys kind of,
You
yeah,
know,
I don't know. The soup is definitely filling. And somebody said they have
there's
soup.
um there's one thing I want to address.
Uh huh.
We'll do it later on, Ian. It was a comment that you made about Thanksgiving and what it's truly about. And so that's a conversation that we're gonna have a little bit later on because I severely disagree with you, and I know that you know where I'm going with that. Um, but but before we begin anything, I believe one of our astute co-hosts has a little message that he would like to say to his team, and I know I'm looking forward to hearing it. Ian, I'm sure you are as well. Justin, what do you have to say?
Well, fellas, I took some time and crafted this um, letter of regret and resignation in a sense. Um, and take it for what it will. It's coming from emotion, and I think that's fair to say that most folks in this region, football fans, are very emotional, and it is what it is. So we'll just leave it at that. You guys can take it for what you will, turf about it, think about it, stew on it, whatever you want to do. Perfectly fine by me. But this is how I feel. Okay. In perfect Stephen A. Smith fashion, a la First Take, put the camera on me. I want 7 million people in the United States to look at me right now. Bill Belichick, we applaud you for what you've accomplished. You raised our organization from mediocrity to becoming one of the most prominent, dominant, and most successful franchises in American sports history. Throughout that time, it became synonymous with the Patriots that changes and personnel moves that were made by you were done in the best interest of the team moving forward. Sometimes that meant moving on from fan favorites and borderline star players. Based on those moves made in the earlier years of your tenure, we extrapolated that you would make those moves and decisions just before the players began to decline, and almost every time we'd be handsomely compensated for those moves. However, we need to address the 50,000-ton elephant in the room. Your success, Bill Belichick, here in New England was not because of your defensive brilliance, which is beyond question, beyond contestation. Your success was built solely upon a punk kid from San Mateo, California, who had the absolute fucking balls to walk up to your owner as a sixth round draft pick, who was not the primary starting quarterback for his collegiate career at Michigan, and say, I am the best thing that ever happened to your organization. Thank you very much for drafting me. The absolute cojones to do that. He wasn't even the primary starting quarterback at Michigan. That was Brock Heward. And, Belichick, your hubris and arrogance, absolute hubris, arrogance, and unwillingness to mold yourself have cost your organization and your fan base irreparable damage. Bill, you need to follow your own rules of the, quote, Patriot way that you have practiced here for the last 24 years. You need to go. You've been doing it for decades, and no one can take away your accomplishments. But as you moved on from players who are past their prime, it is time for us to say goodbye and move on.
Beautifully read, sir. I know that took a lot. I know that you really had to dig down deep in your core to find the words to say, especially to the most prominent head coach this league has ever seen in Bill Belichick. So I applaud you, sir, for writing that. I applaud you for putting it on airwaves, for letting it be known on the internet. And I don't disagree with a single word of it. You are absolutely right, Justin. That's exactly what the Patriot way was. They let go of Ty Law. They let go of Lawyer Malloy, Richard Seymour. The list goes on and on and on for Patriot players that were still stars, borderline in their primes, and got let go for the betterment of the team. At this point, is it even an argument that getting rid of Bill Belichick would be a betterment for the team? I don't think so. I think you're absolutely right, Justin. I think you are 100% correct. What do you think, Ian?
It hurt to even write that. I'm not gonna lie.
I can see why. It's not an easy thing to write, especially when you've had so much success, so much just absolute dominance over the past 20 years. Well, I can't even say over the past 20 years anymore because it's been 5 years really since you've even been good. But you had a 20-year stretch of dominance, I should say, where you are fortunate enough to win 6 Super Bowls and compete in 10, I believe it was.
We were in 10.
So, wait, was it 10? Yeah, because you lost twice to the Giants and to the Eagles. 9, my apologies, 9 Super Bowls,
9.
right?
Yeah. We've been to 10. Well, we've been to 11.
Yeah, because you lost in 85 to the Bears, then in 97 to the Packers before all this happened. Yeah. But yeah, that's so commendable for you to be able to do, and I agree with everything you said. I don't think there's a single reason to keep Bill Belichick in New England anymore. I think Bill could walk out the door and get a head coaching spot in virtually anywhere that's not Kansas City.
Yeah.
Or maybe Philadelphia at this point. They seem to really like Nick Sirianni. I would love to see what New England could do. What Bill Belichick could do with the Chargers roster. I think that would be a great move for him to go to the Chargers, see what he could do with a quarterback like Justin Herbert. Am I saying Justin Herbert's Tom Brady and they're going to win 6 Super Bowls? No, absolutely not. But even at this stage in his career and his progression, I think Bill Belichick's still a 1,000 times better option than Brandon Staley.
I had suggested a wild notion in the group chat earlier today. Right now, the Patriots are slated to take the 3rd pick overall. Assuming the season ended today, I would offer Belichick and the 3rd pick to the Bears for the number 1. And roll with Caleb Williams.
I think they would take that. Because the way that it's looking, the Bears are probably going to get the 2nd pick too, so they could possibly have the 2nd and the 3rd pick.
Well, right now they've got the 1st with Carolina because Carolina still has the number 1 pick because of
correct.
But right now they're the 4th pick. Right
okay,
now.
So they could get the 3rd and the 4th, which is still very good.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a pretty fair trade.
Because
and
Kraft
then
is not going to let Belichick walk. He's not going to fire him. He's going to trade him.
I don't know if he's going to trade him or like we've been talking about on the show the past few weeks. It really just might end up being a mutually agreed to part ways type of deal at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because you can't fire a coach of Bill Belichick status. It's just
you can't do it. You can, but you don't.
No, you can. You can. You just don't do it publicly. You announce to the public that it was a parting of the ways. I mean, everyone deep down is knowing what's going to happen, but I agree at this time. And I hate to say this, I know you're a diehard Patriots fan. You always have been. Regardless who their coach is next year, they're not going to be a contender. You'll get better, but they're not going to be a contender next year. You know that.
Yeah, and then what I was thinking as well is if you watch the Michigan-Ohio State game on Saturday, Marvin Harrison Jr. was clearly the best player on the field. If he can actually get, that's something we've. I mean, with the exception of Moss, and look what Brady went out there and did. I just think that Belichick has been had to work with guys, whether his own decision or not, that just don't have the capabilities of Brady, and he was trying to make them into the second coming. Whether I think Justin mentioned by hubris, by arrogance. So I think he would definitely benefit from a new fit away from the organization in general if he goes to like LA or something like that. Because like you said, he could still coach, but the quarterbacks you have Bailey Zappi throwing 2 picks yesterday, Mac Jones threw 1, so. It's
other way around. Mac Jones threw 2, Bailey Zappi threw 1.
Oh, did I say that? Yeah, no, Bailey Zappi came in after. Yeah, but
no, still the same sentiment applies though. Like they don't have a stable quarterback on that roster regardless, so it truly doesn't matter. And it's like I've been saying for a long time now, New England obviously they have absolutely no offensive weapons regardless. So it's a tall task for any quarterback you throw in there. The thing that I'm surprised on, Ian, and we'll touch about it later in our pick segment as well. You went against your Rams last week when they played the Cardinals, and they ended up pulling off the dub. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're sitting about 5-6 right now.
Yes,
they're
sir.
hosting the Browns this week. I think that could be a pretty solid win for you guys, especially as where it looks like PJ Walker might be starting for the Browns. We'll get into it in our pick segment who we're taking. But you guys look like you could be slowly climbing your way to that last wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what I saw from the Rams on Sunday. We have Freeman is starting to emerge now, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Stafford obviously had a huge game. The Browns had the number 1 passing defense in the NFL.
Them up.
Yeah, no, we're blowing him out the whole
Like
game. I don't think
it looked like retro Stafford.
It did look like retro Stafford.
I might go against him again this week. It's just the Cardinals don't have that.
It seems to be working.
Right. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we went 4 for 5 in the red zone this past Sunday, but I don't think we're going to too tough of a time stuff with PJ Walker at all, but we couldn't stop Kyler Murray. So we're going to see.
I get that, but Kyler Murray and PJ Walker are 2 completely different quarterbacks.
But that passing defense, though, I mean, we really don't. I mean, we've had Freeman and Williams bust out offensively, but it's a different guy from week to week. You don't know who you're going to get. Let me check Cooper Kupp status. That's actually one thing that I didn't check, but I don't know. I don't think Stafford's going to see the same success as last week, and the Rams have
of course not. I mean, the Browns defense is on a different stratosphere than the Cardinals. I mean, there's no question about that. But I truly feel your defense can hold them down and you can make enough plays to win the game. That, like I said, that's something we can dive into in our pick segment, which is actually going to be coming up very shortly. I don't have much to say about Dallas's performance.
Didn't learn anything new.
Didn't learn anything new. They completely dominated a team that they should have dominated. I do like the fact they do continuously blow out the teams that they should. I'm a big supporter of that. I think that's huge. It shows that they beat the teams that they should. So I have no issue with that. I guess we'll see on Thursday if they can finally beat a team with above a 500 record. Of course, they've won now 14 straight at home, and I'm not sure. I know Ian knows this stat. I don't know if Justin does. They have not trailed for a single
Oh yeah, I
second
saw that
at
shit
home
the other
this
day.
year.
I did
Not
hear that.
They have not trailed for a second of game time at home.
And
I don't.
Jerron Bland, I mean, I thought he was going to struggle having to
Uh-huh.
cover for Trayvon Diggs. I was wrong.
He
I
still got a few games left too, and he broke that record.
I legitimately think you could make a strong case for Bland being the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, when we're talking about defensive player of the year and you mentioned Cowboys, everyone thought it was going to be Micah Parsons, and he's still in the hunt too. He's got 11 sacks. I mean, it's not like Micah Parsons is having a down year. He's getting double teamed every play, and he still is averaging about a sack a game. That's phenomenal. But when you're record breaking 5 pick sixes in a season, he's got 7 picks already throughout the course of the year in general. 5 of them being pick sixes. He has more touchdowns than Travis Kelce and DK Metcalf, for Christ's sake.
And he's the number 3 quarterback on the depth chart, too.
He is. It's hard to make a case against him for not being defensive player of the year. I'm thrilled what he's been doing. I am a little cautious on him that it's a one-year wonder. It's not that he was bad last year. He got about 4 picks last year as well. So he's solid. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Where
one-year wonder.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he's still probably going to be solid, but he'll probably never live up to what he's done this year. We see it time and time again with players who have a phenomenal breakout season and then just never fully recapture that. And I feel like this could be the case for him. If he proves me wrong, I'll be more than happy. The only thing that would kind of stress me out about it is if he keeps playing to this level every year, he is going to be owed some big time money when that contract ends. And as we know, Dallas has some upcoming contracts that they need to fulfill. They got Micah Parsons coming up. They got Trayvon Diggs coming up. They got CeeDee Lamb coming up. Obviously, they're not letting any of those 3 go. But as non-biased members, real quick before we get into the picks, out of those 3 players, who do you think is the most irreplaceable to Dallas? Is it Micah, CD, or Trayvon Diggs? Like, if they only could pay one, who would you think they should pay?
Micah.
I would say Micah too.
For me, it would be a little bit tough just because fuck. Why did I totally just who the fuck?
Between Parsons, Diggs,
Lamb. I don't know why I was thinking Diggs. The name Diggs. No, sorry, CeeDee Lamb. He's having, he's on more touchdowns than he did, receiving touchdowns than he did last year. But what I was gonna say was my argument was gonna be because I think you don't want to lose that in the middle of your season.
That's fair.
Thanksgiving. He did get added to the injury report earlier on today, and then we don't really know what's going on with. I think they're going to rip Seattle apart. We'll get more into that in our pick segment, but I think that it's going to be a CeeDee Lamb type thing.
Hey, I hope so. I mean, CD's having a career year. Him and Dak finally seem like they found their mojo together, so I'm thrilled about that. But yeah, no, Justin, I completely agree. I feel like if they need to pay one, it has to be Micah. Don't get me wrong. Jerry's going to find a way to pay all 3. That's just how it's going to be. They will pay them all. It does concern me a little bit what the rest of their roster is going to be constructed of, but I'm glad to keep that core together. Now, what do you guys say we hop into our pick segment?
Sounds good.
All right.
Ian, how did we do last week?
I'm going to go ahead and provide a breakdown of last week. So I just messaged all of you in the group chat before this. We all went 12-3. We all were dead wrong on the Lions. And then we all picked a game that we just went out on a limb on. I picked the Rams and lost. And I picked the Bears and won last night. And then Casey picked the Saints and lost. But maybe Casey didn't win one of the... You were one of the only ones to lose a game with the Saints. But yeah, we all went 12-3 though, and it was looking at it like we were talking about it. They were all games that could have gone either way. We didn't just pick all blowout winners. So a
That's
good
true.
week, but let's go ahead and let's get into the tradition for the 13th week in a row.
So for the 13th week of the NFL season, boys, we have a Thursday night showdown between the Seattle Seahawks, and they're traveling to Jerry World to play the Dallas Cowboys. Who y'all got?
Boys.
Yeah, I didn't have to wait long to make my take on this game. It was the future. I think Cowboys by a mile at home. They're gonna beat them they're gonna hit the 40, and I'll be surprised if Seattle gets 15. I think they're gonna kill them.
You said Dallas can hit the 30 mark, you think?
I think the 40 mark.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't see it being like 40 to 14 or anything.
I think they're gonna come out and just. I think CD's gonna have a big game against that secondary. Metcalf and Pocket are banged up as well, so.
I got Dallas as well, but in a closer game than people think. I say Dallas 31-27.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Geno Smith did continuously get sacked. I believe it was 4 times against the Seahawks against the Niners on Thanksgiving. But I mean, I think Dallas is gonna get after it. But with now Michael Parsons coming in, they come out being complacent if they don't have their linebacker out there. So we'll see.
Say that again about Micah. I couldn't hear you.
No, you're good. What I was gonna say is, depending on how healthy he is, but the Seahawks are also dealing with Metcalf and Lockett. I think it's gonna be easy, but we'll see. That's the good thing about the NFL. It's gonna happen. So.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. I don't think it's. I saw Micah's could be on the injury list. He's active though. He's gonna play if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they don't have him listed out as anything. He was just dealing. This I can double check, but yeah, it was just earlier today that they did it, like a few hours before our show. But he's probably gonna play. They're just putting him a heads up. But what's after that?
So the next game that we have after that, we have an AFC South showdown between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. I'm gonna roll with the Colts.
I like the Colts too in this one. Indy's the one place favorite on the road.
Colts, they helped all of us out this weekend. They won. I've got the Colts as well. They're not really giving me a reason to not believe in them, and Tennessee has no reason to be believed in. So.
Exactly, and it looks like Indianapolis is really trying to fight for a wild card spot, and I really like what Gardner Minshew's been doing. He hasn't been playing phenomenal, but he's held the team together in that time of need. And of course, Michael Pittman's been emerging this year. The Colts defense is nothing to sneeze at. Definitely give me Indy in this one. The next game we have the Atlanta Falcons coming off their best win of the season, taking on the Jets and Tim Boyle, who might be the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. I'm going to take the Falcons.
But yeah, I'll take the Falcons too. They're finally decided to use Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts correctly, so I'll take the Falcons.
Yes, for sure.
I'll go Falcons as well. What we got next?
What we got next is a NFC North versus NFC South showdown. We got the Lions, who will be off a good rest and good thought process, hopefully. Hopefully they're rejuvenated and ready to go. Facing off against the Saints in New Orleans. I know the Saints have a good defense, guys, and I know that they're capable if they're on their game of giving teams a lot of run for their money. I'm going with the Lions, though. I think that loss woke them up, and I think they're going to just absolutely run over the Saints.
Yeah, I think the Lions just kind of had a little bit too much turkey to begin before the game, and they woke up too late. So yeah, I'll take the Lions over the Saints this one. Lions are 4-1 away from Ford Field, so I'll take the Lions.
For sure. And yes, Ian, did you go with the Lions as well?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I don't know if it was on mute or not. No, yeah, same thing with me. I think Detroit's coming off of that embarrassing loss. I don't think they're going to necessarily come out in full. Jared Goff is having a revival of the season. I think if they can get Amon-Ra St. Brown going early, it's going to be important because they're playing on the road, and we don't want to see him have an interception problem, especially with the the way the Saints are coming off a loss as well. So, I mean, the Saints are still in. I mean, it's a desperation game for them. They obviously
Yeah.
to Atlanta. Atlanta played well, but yeah.
Can we auction off the NFC South playoff spot? Because
No, we can't. We can't. And you know
we
why?
should.
Because if Dallas gets the fifth seed, that they're going to play the winner of the South in the wild card round.
But I mean, yeah, that's I don't know because that still
So
sucks. Even though they're going to only have 9 wins, whoever wins that division, is you still have to go on the road and play them. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, no, absolutely. I get your point, Justin, of wanting to auction off the NFC South winner, but as a Dallas fan, I'm like, whew, we might have to go to Atlanta or New Orleans in a playoff game.
Big
you just
deal.
want a gimme game, which
Well, I was gonna say
I
we
can't
beat them
blame
by
you.
30, whoever we play. So
Can't blame you there.
I don't know, man. It's like as a team, as a fan like you of Dallas, that's in the wild card, but you're playing a far inferior team. That would kind of, I know you said it does, like upset me that you have to go on the road because, yeah, I mean, you're clearly better than the Falcons, but I guess if you consider it a gimme game, there's nothing to worry about, right?
we had to do it last year with Tampa, and the only
Yeah,
sliver of doubt that I had with that game is because Tom Brady was the quarterback of the Bucs. But we saw how that panned out. Dallas
that was
destroyed.
going into the game. The Dallas was the only team not to beat Brady.
Yes.
that was his Dan Marino game, how he went out, but that was way worse.
Oh
but
yeah,
still.
it was ugly. Our Brett Maher, who ended up getting picked up by the Rams actually in the offseason after that, missed 4 straight extra points, and it still didn't matter. So the next game, fellas, actually a pretty intriguing 1:00 game, and you wouldn't think it at the beginning of the year. We got the Denver Broncos heading into Houston to play the Texans. I'm gonna take the Texans.
I like the Texans too. I mean, CJ Stroud is arguably the 5th best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, that's a strong argument.
Who would have thought at this point of the season? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with Justin's point about CJ Stroud. He is by far the rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, easily the rookie of the year. I don't know, man. I've been rolling with the Broncos, and they've been rolling. Russell Wilson,
he's cooking.
only thrown 4 interceptions all year. Some of the throws I know you guys seen he's been making have just been insane, and they really look like they're making a push. They're above 500 now, so we'll see what happens when they go into Houston. I know I was saying
You
all
rolling with
that.
the Broncos,
My
Ian?
fucking pick. I don't know, man. This is a tough one. I mean, I feel like in Houston, it's going to be really tough, especially with how CJ
The
Stroud.
Broncos are on a 5-game win streak right now.
Yeah,
they are.
They're
We
the
know
hottest.
that's going to come to an end at some point.
Against the Lions, realistically, or this week or against the Lions, because then they have the Chargers, then the Lions, then the Patriots, then the Chargers again, and then the Raiders.
I say Broncos. We all got Broncos?
No.
I got the Texans.
Texans.
Okay. Oh, shit. Hold on. I got you.
Now, the next game, we have the LA Chargers heading into Gillette to face Macaroni Jones and the New England Patriots. I know I said I would never pick the Chargers, but I'm picking the Chargers.
The Chargers are a 6-point favorite on the road. I'm taking the Chargers too.
I got the Patriots.
I hope you're right for that insanity.
Fuck, Ian. No,
you guys have looked at me like an idiot before. This isn't as bad as the Ole Miss thing.
It's as bad as it looks, if not worse. Honestly, I still won't be surprised if we have one of them start the first half and the other one play the second half. It's that bad.
I got the Chargers by multiple scores in this game.
I don't know about multiple scores necessarily, but it's between 7 and 10 points.
So the next game, we have a Super Bowl rematch of Super Bowl 43 between the Arizona Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to the Steelers.
Roll with the wife principle. Go with the Steelers. Cardinals are 0-6 away from home, and the Steelers are 4-2 at home. Pittsburgh 5.5-point favorite at home. I like what the Steelers showed last week, even though Deontay Johnson literally gave up on a play, which was very uncharacteristic of him. Yeah, I'll take the Steelers.
Yeah, you're talking about that Najee Harris fumble, aren't you? After Deontay Johnson dropped the touchdown, Najee Harris fumbles, and Deontay made absolutely no attempt to get the ball. That was, I hate when players show little effort like that, but regardless of that aspect, give me the Steelers in this one.
I think the Steelers win, but I don't think they cover.
Okay, what are you saying? Steelers by a field goal?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are gonna still come out. Kyler Murray's, looked good every game he's come out so far, and same thing with Russell Wilson. You got to just continue to go away. Got you. What did you guys have for the Texans game again?
Both Texans. Both of them.
Both have Texans. Yeah. So for the next game, we have the Miami Dolphins heading into DC to take on the Commanders, and I'm gonna roll with the Dolphins.
I got the Dolphins too. I think Sam Howell is going to have a very rough game this week.
I got Dolphins as well.
I figured that'd be a quick one. So for the next game, we have the Carolina Panthers. This is NFC South Showdown. Heading against the team that likes to fuck me every single week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm rolling with the Bucs, though. I think they're going to handle this game pretty handily. I guess this is a quote-unquote revenge game for Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's going to light them up by any means, but I got the Bucs pretty comfortably.
Who's even coaching for the Panthers now? Because Frank Reich just got fired.
I can't even remember dude's name, if that helps.
No, doesn't help. Bucs.
I got Bucs.
I think the Panthers, as an organization, are regretting not taking Stroud over.
They sure are. Not
be.
that I don't even think
he's
that CJ Stroud would be having that much more success just because of what the Panthers have offensively compared to what the Texans do. But at the same time, there's no doubt CJ Stroud's been the better quarterback so far. Time will tell if that's going to remain the same. Obviously, there's a lot of time left in their careers for it to be different. But as of now, you're 100% right, Justin.
I'm giving the too small look virtually to Bryce Young. He's too small.
Yeah. And size isn't everything. I mean, look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees had a phenomenal career, but let's not kid ourselves.
He also had an offensive line that kept him alive.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a very true statement. And let's not act like Bryce Young has the accuracy or the mechanics of Drew Brees either.
No.
So for the next game, though, this is the showdown of the weekend, guys.
Yes, it is.
We got the 49ers heading into Lincoln Financial Field to take on the Eagles. I'm going with the 49ers. I think they want their revenge from the NFC Championship game. And I think this is where we see the struggles of the Eagles come out to play. I got the 49ers.
I'm going to take the 49ers too. I think Jalen Hurts played out of his mind this last week. 5 overall touchdowns. If I recall, it was a 4 or 5 overall touchdowns. 5. Jeez. But much like what we've said in the years of way back when about Brady, you can only mask so many flaws for so long. I think the Niners match up very well against the Eagles. I think Christian McCaffrey is. I'll take Christian McCaffrey 2 scores for the Niners.
I can absolutely see that.
But I don't think Brock Purdy will throw a ton of throw for a ton, but I think they'll just nickel and dime him enough.
I think Purdy throws 2 touchdowns. I think he throws 2. Yeah, give me the 49ers. And so me and Justin are on the 49ers. What says you, Mr. Blackwell?
I'm going Eagles. I know he thinks that they match up really well, which they do, but they just keep finding ways to win. They gave up 505 total yards last game, and they still found a way to win. So I just think they're going to keep on finding ways to win. They're 10-1, and this game is being played in. I just saw, where is this shit being played?
It's in Philly.
Yeah, it's in Philly. I think Jalen Hurts comes out, has another good game. The Niners just been going through too much turmoil, so I think Philly pulls it out. My picks are varying a lot from you guys' right now.
They really are. So for the next game, of course, we have the Cleveland Browns heading into the resurgent LA Rams to take on Matt Stafford. I'm going to go with the Rams.
I'm gonna take the Rams too, but I think it'll be close.
I do too.
I got the Rams. I'm not doing it again.
And then for the next two games, I think this is pretty cut and dry. We have the Kansas City Chiefs heading into Lambeau to take on the Packers. Chiefs all day.
What's the spread on that game?
KC 6.5.
Oh yeah, I got the. Is it prime time?
Yeah, Sunday night.
Shit, it is. Damn, we're already at the Sunday night game.
Yeah,
Wow.
the Monday night game's not any better.
It would have been if
a certain quarterback didn't get hurt.
Has there been any talk about what's the ramifications of that, of not the non-disclosure of his injury before the game? Has anyone talked about that?
Yeah, we briefly touched on it. I don't know if anything's going to come of it.
That's what I'm saying. Has anything come of it?
I don't think so. Not yet. And then, of course, for Monday night, again, I think this is a pretty cut and dry one, fellas. We got Cincinnati heading into Jacksonville to take on the Prince that was promised and Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. I'm going with the Jags.
I think Travis Etienne runs all over him.
Yeah. I got the Jags in a blowout.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the Jags are going to win in a blowout as well. Seems like a pretty uneventful week for the most part. I mean, I went on a limb with a couple of them, but I mean, we have a lot of bad teams playing a lot of really good teams. So,
yeah, I just like I said, I think the only matchup that has like true like hype around it is the 49ers and Eagles. Other than that, as far as this week, unless you're a fan of a certain team, there's nothing that really jumps out at you. So there you have it, folks. There is our pick segment. Once again, you heard it here first. Those are our picks on mixed reactions. It's almost Christmas time, and the Christmas time is really the type of the year where the NBA picks up. What do you guys say we dive into a little bit of NBA talk here?
Sounds good to me.
Now, one thing that I want to talk about just regarding the NBA really fast is last night, LeBron and the Lakers suffered a 44-point loss to the Philadelphia 76ers.
That's all that.
That is LeBron's largest loss in his career. Now, being in the NBA for 20 years and finally having a 40-point loss, that says something about you as a person. That says something about you as an NBA player. So kudos to LeBron for it, taking that long for it to finally happen. Do you guys see that more as an anomaly, or do you see it as a detriment to the Lakers? Keep in mind when you're talking about the Lakers right now, they are dead last in second chance points, and they are dead last in allowing second chance points. I don't think they have the makeup of a championship team, and that's sad for a player with the legacy of LeBron James to be in your 19th or 20th season, I believe it is, still arguably a top 5 player in the league, and still basically having to do it all for your team. I don't think that he has it in him, unfortunately, to carry these Lakers to a finals.
Yeah, I mean the Lakers are definitely a team that we've seen flashes of potential of. We've seen D'Angelo Russell hit 3 or 4 the other night. Austin Reeves he's only 33% this year, but I mean they're getting him up. But yeah, LeBron 9 in 9 out, he's definitely the most consistent. Anthony Davis will have his 3 or 4 minute stretches where he's just not really doing anything. But I mean, they beat Cleveland on Sunday. They just can't defend the 3-pointer, and they can't get offensive rebounds. Second least offensive rebounds in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I'm personally an advocate to give Christian Wood more minutes, because they need help on that side of the floor. So we'll see what happens.
Not to mention, Christian Wood's a spot-up shooter. He can knock down threes.
Yeah, this year he's just been struggling a little bit. He's only shooting 30% from 3, but he's a legit 7-footer. They can give you. He's only giving you 20 minutes a game right now, but yeah, I think he's a tough matchup for a lot of guys just because of his size and ability to shoot.
He is. Anyone at 7 feet can give anybody problems. That size is not anything to sneeze at. And so one thing that I really think the Lakers definitely need to improve on is far as just as a team morale overall too, they need to improve playmaking. They definitely need to improve their 3-point shooting. Once again, they're in the bottom 5 of the NBA for 3-pointers. It almost seems like anyone that gets paired up with LeBron forgets how to shoot the damn basketball. And I don't see them making it anywhere past maybe a second round this year due to that. With the West being as absolutely wide open as it is this year, I,
Bless you.
it's one of those things where it has to be LeBron night in and night out for the Lakers. And when you're in your 20th season, that shouldn't be the case. Anthony Davis should be the best player on this team, and he's not. It's still LeBron James in his 20th season. He's still the best player on that team.
How do you feel about your Celtics, Justin?
Well, if we're talking about the Celtics,
They're up 15 in the second right now.
They are. I actually have that game on my second TV. They're up on. It's the in-season tournament game against the Chicago Bulls, and
They got to win by a lot to win the group.
Oh, they're still
Yeah.
in group stage? I thought the Lakers
They're
finished
group
theirs
stage.
like Friday.
They did, but they're 4-0 in group
This is
stage.
the last bit of group games.
Yeah.
Today's the last day of group games.
So
But-
who's everybody's MVP? Is that what you were gonna get into? I believe, right?
As far as like NBA,
Mm-hmm.
right now my MVP in the NBA. Oh, that's a tough question. There's
No one really stands out. That's the problem.
Yeah, there's no one really that's above and beyond anybody.
I
Like
would say the surprising team of the year is Orlando.
Orlando looks
Minnesota.
really good. Minnesota is having a phenomenal season right now. They're ranked
12
number 2 in the power rankings, just behind the Celtics.
They're killing everything.
Despite their record, though, if I had to say my MVP at the moment is Kevin Durant. He's averaging almost 30 a game. Actually, he is averaging 30 a game.
Yeah, no, right now it's tough. You have Jokic that was out last night. Every time this time of year, I a lot of times want to say Tatum. But yeah, no, right now I have Luka personally.
Luka's a great pick. I saw a debate the other day that was asking if Luka's even the best player on his own team. And no disrespect to Kyrie Irving, but absolutely Luka Doncic is the best player on the Mavericks.
Yeah, no, I think he's undisputed the best player. I mean, they are 10-6, and he's still averaging 37 and 7, and he's shooting 39% this year. That's the best of his career. On
39% from 3, right?
Or sorry, from 3. That's what I meant. Yeah, on almost 10 attempts a game. So he their Mavericks are playing good. They look good inside with Lively. He comes in. He was competing, all throughout the last couple of weeks, and Mavericks look good. I think they're trying to find are finally finding the chemistry.
Which is a great time for them to find this said chemistry, due to the fact that the West is completely wide open. Obviously, the favorites at the moment still should be the Nuggets. I mean, take a look at last night. No Jokic, no Jamal Murray, no Aaron Gordon, and Reggie Jackson dropped 35.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Against the Clippers. I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
I got a question for you guys because we all know that Golden State could turn it on at any moment in time. We all know that. At least they have the pedigree too.
Yes, they do. You're right. Okay.
They're only 8 and 9. There's not nothing crazy.
Well, they were also horrible at home, and they were on the road last year, and they somehow managed to make a deeper run in the playoffs than I expected them to. But what are your thoughts about Draymond's comments about the choke job he put on Rudy Gobert and had absolutely no regrets about? Do you think that his coach, other players, other teammates have said he went over the top, and Draymond has absolutely no regret about it whatsoever? and he's complaining about being suspended.
Look, my thoughts on Draymond Green are first and foremost, he's a huge or was a huge part of the Warriors' success. They wouldn't have 4 rings without Draymond Green. There's just no disputing that. He is a huge part of what they were able to accomplish. Great floor general, one of the top 5 passing point forwards that we have in the NBA. Great defender, knows his role, great team leader in some instances, but in all, Draymond Green's a clown. He will say anything and he will do anything to get the spotlight on him. There was no need for him to react like that to Rudy Gobert. Let's not even mention the fact that he kicked Steven Adams right in his man parts. Who acts like that on a basketball court?
I mean, we don't know that accidents happen, especially when you're going up for a rebound and coming down. Things do happen, but that was blatant and obvious.
Absolutely blatant and intentional. No question about it. I respect Draymond as a basketball player. I don't respect those actions as a man. That's just cowardly. I'm not a fan of his antics on the court. There's 2 things can be true. I'm not a fan of his actions on the court, but I'm absolutely willing to admit how much of a reason he was for the success of the Warriors. They would not have functioned as well without him. He was the backbone of that team for a long time.
My wife just had something that she mentioned to me. But basketball players are big toddlers.
Yeah.
Especially the more highly recruited ones.
Yeah.
They've been highly recruited since high school, and they get the shoe deals, and they go to college, and they're number 1.
Real quick, you mentioned MVP, Ian, so I want to shift gears for a brief moment here. Who is your guys' NFL MVP, offensive player of the year, and defensive player of the year at this moment? If I had to give mine, as much as I absolutely despise this team, my MVP would be Jalen Hurts.
Mine too. Oh, yeah.
My offensive player of the year would be Tyreek Hill. And my defensive player of the year, despite my fandom of the Cowboys, would probably be either Myles Garrett or TJ Watt. I think DeRon Bland has an argument. Obviously, Micah Parsons has an argument. But at this very moment, I would say either TJ Watt or Myles Garrett. I would fully listen to any argument for DeRon Bland, though, as a Cowboys fan. I mean, he broke the record with 5 pick sixes. So what about you, Ian? What's your MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year?
Sorry about that. For right now, for me, for my MVP would be Hurts as well. I mean, we saw how great he was last year, and then this year he's just managing every single week just look at some of these stat lines: 25 for 38, 303 yards, 72 yards rushing, and they're 10-1 too.
Yeah.
He's thrown for almost 3,000 yards this year. Yeah, he would definitely have to be my MVP as well. And then he has the 6th best quarterback rating in the NFL. And like I said, they keep finding ways to win. I mean, just look at we were talking a few weeks ago about them having to go through the gauntlet, but they just they just went to Kansas City, and then they beat Buffalo, obviously, in overtime after beating Dallas. So, yeah, I think the Eagles, that's why I picked them. I'm not going to pick against them until I know the officiating Sunday was very questionable, but until they lose, I'm not going to bet against them personally.
That's fair. Who would your offensive player of the year be?
Right now, I would have the same first 2 picks as you. It would be Tyreek Hill. I think if you can point to a receiver being important to a team success, he's definitely a good example of it. He's one of those game breakers, and I think that without him, they would still be good, but I don't think we'd be talking about them in any serious talk. I think he makes that big of an impact. For my defensive player of the year, I would have Parsons personally. I just think that his absence to them would, despite that defense still being elite, even in the secondary as well. I think they need Parsons to be able to make a run. And he is listed as questionable right now for Sunday. So
For Thursday.
oh shit! It's only in 2 days. Okay.
Yeah, I can't see Micah missing that game. I know he's listed as questionable. I really can't see him missing that game. Kind of to build off our Tyreek Hill point. The way that he is able to just take any type of defense that you throw at him and just absolutely expose it is so phenomenal what he's been able to do. I mean, at this moment, think about this. There's still 6 games left in the season.
Mm-hmm.
He has 88 receptions for 1,324 yards and 10 touchdowns. He could easily get to the 2,000-yard mark this season.
Just listen to 15 catches for 215 yards in the season opener, 11 for 150. Or no, I'm sorry, that's targets. 5 catch, like 215 yards, 157 yards, 181 yards, averaging 22.5 yards a catch against the Giants. He's just, like I said, and that was on 8 catches as well. So I think he's going to be the guy in the playoffs to where the scouting report. I mean, it goes without saying, I think.
He has to be
they have to
the
stop him.
Scariest matchup almost in NFL history, because with his level of speed that he possesses, is if as soon as he touches the ball, he could be gone. So for me personally, Tyreek Hill is by far my offensive player of the year. It's not even close.
So I'm here playing Adam Schefter. Apologize, but so we were getting at the MVP, offensive player of the year, and defensive player of the year, if I recall correctly. Okay.
Yeah. So the way that we have it struck out so far is Ian and I had the same first two. We both have Jalen Hurts as our MVP and Tyreek Hill as our defensive player of the years. I went with Myles Garrett as my defensive player of the year so far, and Ian went with Micah Parsons just because he said he just feels like he makes the Dallas defense go, even if he's not getting the numbers. He feel like he draws the most attention, what really makes them go. So what says you? Who's your MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year?
So I can't take the rookies to the offensive player because I'll put CJ Stroud there in a heartbeat. But for offensive player of the year, I'd probably agree with you at Tyreek Hill. Just sheer ability, and I mean, he's putting the numbers up too. I mean,
I don't know if you heard. I know you had to step away for a second. He has 88 catches for over 1,300 yards, and there's still 6 games to be played.
Sheesh. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time to break the 2,000 mark, but he'll be close.
He could. He easily could, though, if he keeps on this pace.
He could. I think he might fall just short, but he'll be close.
Well, let's put it like this: they're playing the Commanders this week, who have the 32nd ranked pass defense. He could easily go for 200.
He can go for 200, at least $150 for sure.
And wait till A-Chain gets back healthy too.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that Dolphins offense can be unstoppable at times. Who did you pick for your MVP? Was it Hurts?
I would say Hurts. Yeah, for the moment, I'd say Hurts. Just body of work and never giving up more than anything.
Sure.
If it weren't for Hurts, then Philly would easily be a 500 team.
Oh, agreed. 100%. 100%. Who's your defensive player of the year?
Defensive player of the year, I'd probably put DaRon Bland.
DaRon Bland. I was almost thinking about putting DaRon Bland. I didn't want to sound like I was being biased as a Cowboys fan, how can you argue against setting a record for pick sixes? And it's not just that. I know you guys probably don't watch every Cowboys game I do, but
again, as going into the Cowboys game against the Patriots, when Diggs went down, it was like DaRon Bland might get picked on, and he was doing the picking.
Yeah, he got 2 picks in that game, and one's a pick six. Justin, you may not want it. He has more touchdowns than any receiver on the Patriots.
Not surprised. Not surprised in the slightest.
So I agree with that. I can see why it would be DeRon Bland. I still have Myles Garrett or TJ Watt. I can't decide between the two. It's one of them.
Both solid picks. Both solid picks.
They're both just game wreckers. They're both unblockable players. TJ Watt sits only behind the Minister of Defense. Do you guys know who that is when I say the Minister of Defense?
Aaron Donald?
No, Reggie White. That was his nickname, the Minister of Defense.
Weddle. Come on, of course I know who the Minister of Defense is, man.
I don't know why I didn't know that.
He sits only behind Reggie White for most sacks in the first 100 games. TJ Watt has 91, so that's phenomenal. Guess how many Reggie White had in his first 100 games? Just take a stab.
Buck 25?
No, not that much, but you're not too far off to be honest.
110.
There you go.
Did I get a dead on the number?
I think it's 109.
Oh shit!
But
that was just a stab in the dark.
I'm sorry, 105. He had think about that. He had 105 sacks in his first 100 games.
Averaging a sack a game. Sheesh.
He had 3.5 in the Super Bowl, didn't he?
Yeah.
4.
Reggie White was an absolute monster. Rest in peace to him, one of the best defensive players to ever live. But yeah, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, DeRon Bland, all phenomenal picks. I don't think you can go wrong with either. Now that's a good list, boys. I think we wrapped that up beautifully. You guys really hit the nail on the head with some of your picks there. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on?
Border battle this weekend.
Thank you. I was hoping
I thought it
you were
showed
going to
next
say
weekend.
that.
I was looking.
No, it's Friday. It's already sold out. Completely sold out.
Oh wait. Oh yeah, you're right. December 1st, Friday. Okay. Man, that last time we saw them out, they were getting swept. But I just kind of knew that was coming after the losing to Boston, or splitting with Boston College, having to play them so tough. But we'll see if he come out. New Hampshire ranked number 14 in the country right now. So
Maine dipped down to 11 on an off week, so I get that. That happens. I absolutely see Maine bouncing back, but I think it's going to be a really close game. It's Maine's biggest rival. They're going to be hitting hard out there. Everyone's going to be skating just that 0.5% harder than they normally would. I got Maine winning 4-3.
I have Maine winning 5-2 with an empty netter, and I'm going to make another hot take. Bradley Nadeau with his first collegiate hat trick.
Oh, that would be lovely. That would be absolutely lovely. I can't see 5-2. New Hampshire is a solid
I'm saying
team.
4-2, and then we get an empty netter.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it's not that's not out of the realm of possibility by any means, of course. But what do you think, Ian?
Oh, my bad. I think that I've got Maine. It's a single game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I got Maine winning 4-2. You look at the scoring from this past weekend, the last time they were out against Boston University on Saturday. They had 4 different guys score, and it looks like they might finally be solving their power play issues. So I've got Maine 4-2.
I sincerely hope you're right on that. Maine solving the power play issues. It did not look good against Merrimack.
Painful to watch the penalty kill. It's like we're going to the box. Okay, are they gonna score in 5 seconds or in the last 5 seconds? The first 5 seconds, the last 5 seconds.
Well, it seems like what they do, I don't know why, they get in that umbrella stance and they just pass and pass and pass and pass, and eventually the pass gets broken up. They don't get open looks. Now, of course, that could easily change, especially on an off week. Ben Barr had them in the lab working on the power play. Just as a quick hitter here, off topic here, Boston just went up 21 against Chicago, so that's a good night, Irene. That game's done and over with. But I think that Maine could have a solid game and bounce back. Osman finally looks like he's figured it out compared to last year. Justin, you can vouch for this. Last year, it seems like Osman could make the most incredible save you've ever seen and then let up the easiest goal. It looks like he's finally found that balance of being able to make the big saves and then coming along with the common saves, which he really struggled with last year.
It reminded me. Last year reminded me a lot of how Swayman was. He would stand on his head and let a cookie go over his shoulder.
Yeah. I made this comparison with my cousin, who's a huge Maine hockey fan. And Justin, I'm not sure if you're going to remember this goalie. I'm pretty sure you will. But you know who he reminded me of a lot last year? Martin Ouellette.
Oh, Marty Ouellette. Wow.
That's because he would have phenomenal saves.
There my first year at UMaine.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about then. He could make a diving save on his head and then let one trickle between his legs that a shot looked like you and I would take. You know what I mean? It wasn't consistent at all.
Yeah. Wasn't he drafted by somebody too at one point?
I don't believe so.
Or he signed an AHL contract.
I think he signed an AHL contract, and I'm almost positive it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you look at Maine's games, even going back to the series against Boston College, they're consistently controlling the game, consistently outshooting their opponent. I don't think New Hampshire comes. And is it in? It's in Orono?
It's at the Alfond.
Yeah, it's in Orono. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's sold out. I looked to see if there were any possibility of tickets, and there's none.
There's none. It is going to be an absolutely.
I'm gonna watch my game from my phone because I'll be here working. But oh my word, I expect the camera to be shaking for a good bit of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be the loudest the Alfond has been in years.
I still say we're gonna be a good tournament team to be considered. I like we were seeing. I think in the last show I listened to it. I think we can win a game, maybe two, but not make it to the Frozen Four.
Agreed. That's exactly how I see this team too. And I'm okay with that.
If we were to somehow make it to the Frozen Four, it's because we gutted out a grinder.
Yes, absolutely. It would take a phenomenal team effort with a player like Bradley Nadeau just taking it over.
Yeah. Something of that caliber.
And the Hockey East is so deep as well. You know, I mean, just look at the teams at the top.
There's 5 teams in the top 20.
Yeah, it's
what I've been telling you guys for years. It's not even close. The best division in college hockey is Hockey East. It has the most talent. It drafts the most players. The worst team in Hockey East is still a pretty decent hockey team.
Vermont?
What? Well, after this game, we're gonna see them play a few outside of conference games. It looks like at Union College, at home against Bentley, against RIT at Dartmouth, 2 against
RIT should be a good game.
And UMass Lowell. Is UMass Lowell hockey? Yeah.
UMass
Lowell's hockey, but they're terrible this year.
They didn't used to be.
No, UMass Lowell used to be an amazing team. They used to be.
Connor Hollybuck.
But I see Maine probably winning, I'd say 4 out of their next 6.
Yeah, I could see 4, 5 if the pucks bounce right.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see them stumbling against Union at Union. Maine.
I could see them against RIT actually of all of them.
That's fair. RIT could definitely.
RIT just beat BU.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean,
see them slipping.
If they can go through these next 5 games and just roll them, I mean, even when they do go back into Big East play, they're gonna have to play the 2 worst teams in Hockey East and Northeastern and UMass Lowell. I think if they really just pour on the goals during that stretch where they don't play anybody after the New Hampshire game, they could still move up a couple of spots.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they pull out a dominant win against UNH, I could see them creeping back into the 8th slot, somewhere around there, the 8th or 9th slot. And it's only could look up from there with their next upcoming games. So I definitely see this as a big point in Maine season where it's truly going to define who they are as a hockey team.
Yeah. Oh, and then before we get into the question here in a second, did you guys see that fucking Alabama game, bro? Ooh, man.
That was insane. insane.
Motherfuckers are 31 yards away, bro. I was looking, I was like, oh, he has time. Like he had a bunch of time. I was like, oh shit, he sees something. Perfect throw, perfect catch. Yeah, money line,
That was one of the best throws I've ever seen a college quarterback make.
bro. Because Nick Saban called the timeout after I think it was a guy got hurt to avoid the 10-second runoff, or no, it was a penalty to avoid the 10-second runoff.
Yeah, because the play before it, he ran past the line of scrimmage, darted back and threw the ball.
I was watching the game and I was like, I know my eyes aren't deceiving me. He just ran like a good 3 yards ahead of that shit, trying to back up like they didn't see it. Like, come on, bro. Nick Saban was pissed. That was perfect throw, bro.
Really quick before we jump into the question, who do you guys have Saturday, Georgia or Bama? I got Bama in an upset.
Georgia didn't look great early against Georgia Tech, but I think they only won by 9. Alabama had to come back, but Alabama's been one of the best improving teams. I think as long as Jalen Milroe can make good decisions, they would win, but that's a big if. And we've already seen the Georgia offense put 50 points up multiple times. So I've got Alabama.
I do too. I got Bama in an upset. The way that Georgia's been playing, it wouldn't shock me at all if they were to stumble. You got to think, man, this 30-game win streak is gonna come to an end eventually, and I truly believe it could be this Saturday. The way Bama's been playing, you're right, Ian. They've shown steady improvement week in and week out. Ever since that loss to Texas, they look like a team on a mission.
I got one more question too, because I know me and Justin, we've been talking about it a lot, like in the group chat. Washington, they play Oregon this weekend. The winner of now, we were already a minute and 13 seconds in. We can go into an hour and 13 minutes in, I should say, over the playoff scenarios all day. But that Washington Oregon game, depending on how it plays out, who wins by how much, it's hard to see Washington beating Oregon and get left out twice. Granted, the Pac-12 had a couple of teams fall off, but they've still got.
No, I agree, but I got Washington winning too. By the way,
Oregon's favored by like 6.5. I was shocked.
That does shock me. Don't get me wrong, Oregon's been playing phenomenally, but I have Washington.
I mean, the Ducks, it was just, a couple of aggressive decisions by Dan Lanning, not taking the points at the end of the first half. They still outgained Washington for the entire game. But, I mean, we've been kind of laughing along in the group chat because they've almost lost. They beat Arizona State by single digits. They just barely beat Washington State with the ballsiest call I've ever seen. Did you guys see that play? It was 4th and 1, and they did like a perfect fake handoff, and dude just swept it to the outside for like 40 yards.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. That was one of the best play calls of the year in college football, and it panned out phenomenally.
What about you, Justin? Because I know we've been talking about Washington, Oregon a lot. And then if depending on who wins, do you think they get in as well? Me personally, I would probably have to say yeah. But then you're going to have them and undefeated Florida State. And, I mean, unless Florida State loses to fucking Louisville, which they very well might. They look shaky against Florida. But, yeah, somebody's going to get left out. And then depending on what happens in the Alabama-Georgia game, and then you got to think about Texas. Like, there's too much. Somebody's got to lose to just clear everything up. But
yeah, no, Ian, I completely agree with everything you just said. This might sound crazy just because it's still the picture's not fully painted yet, but this might shape up to be one of the most intriguing college football playoffs we've seen in a long time. With with every scenario that could be taking place, there's a lot of things still on the line. And like I said, and I'm kind of surprised you agreed with me on it with having Bama winning this Saturday.
Yeah, I mean Georgia hasn't looked all that much better than Alabama. Alabama's definitely been shaky there for a fair amount of times, but I think this just comes down to quarterback. And Milroe, I think, is even though Carson Beck has shown it a lot more this year, I think Milroe can do more with his feet. And he's more of a playmaker. And I think Burton
Yep.
is a good developing receiver, and then the defense. You know, every time you hear them little Sunday Night Football introductions, like 4 or 5 of them from Alabama, and they're doing it again this year with Dallas Turner and those guys. So
They sure are.
I think Alabama wins again. It might be a close game because I think that they haven't seen anything like Brock Bowers the entire season, or
You're
even
not wrong.
Lance McConkey, the white boy.
McConkey.
Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I think whoever wins that, you don't leave them out regardless, because they're saying because Texas beat Alabama, but if Alabama beats Georgia, who's just blown every good team out that they've played pretty much, you can't leave Alabama out. I mean, you have to leave Georgia out, I guess, right? Like, do you put them in too if they lose?
So tough. This is why the college football playoffs is awesome, but it also gets a lot of scrutiny because you always have to leave a true contender out.
Year.
Yeah, I'm glad they're expanding it, to be honest, because it makes it almost not unfair. That's not the word I'm looking for.
It does make it a little unfair, I think.
Yeah, it kind of does because how can you leave Texas out for beating out Texas hasn't what's Texas' record? 10-1?
They're only lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah, they only lost to Oklahoma.
But Bama lost to Texas. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Bama lost to Texas. So what do you do there? But Ian, you are 100% right. You cannot leave Bama out if they beat Georgia. You can't.
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't.
But then what? So we're just. I mean, because granted, Oklahoma's looked a lot worse than Alabama has. Oklahoma's last 3 losses. Alabama, Texas beat them, and they only have 1 loss. So are they just?
I hate to say it. I think you leave Texas out.
Here's my thinking: Alabama has to beat Georgia by a good, convincingly to get in.
It has to be convincing for sure.
I don't think it does.
I mean, as long as
because if Alabama beats Georgia, but they just kind of just beat him as opposed to convincingly beat him, I think you honestly have to consider leaving both Georgia and Alabama out.
There's no way that would happen.
No, Georgia's not getting left out.
I think you could consider it.
Let's put it like this, Justin. Even if that was the logical move and the right move to do,
it's not going to happen. I know
it would never. The committee would never let that happen.
I mean, but Georgia's undefeated though.
Georgia's undefeated, but if they lose to Alabama in the SEC championship.
And then well, yeah. I don't know why my dumbass was thinking the reverse way. Like if Georgia won.
No.
Yeah, if Georgia won, they're in no matter. Obviously, no, that's not even a question. But...
I mean, that's fair. I mean, because Texas has even though it's like I said, do you go based off of resume, which Alabama clearly has a better resume, or do you go based off of the fact that Texas beat Alabama when they played? Granted, it was week 2.
Here's the problem. But if you leave Texas out, you're essentially saying the regular season doesn't matter.
So you think if Alabama wins, they get left out? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying they get
No. I think they get in if they beat Georgia. But what I'm saying is when they do get in, it essentially is saying the regular season does not matter in college football.
I mean, it's not even
if Texas gets left out and Alabama gets
somebody's going to get left out unless one of them lose. Like if Alabama loses, you get Georgia in. That's easy. Michigan.
Of course. Yeah, if Georgia wins, and this is all null and void, Alabama would be out, Georgia would be in. There's no question about that. But if Alabama wins, I think it's Texas that's left out.
Honestly, even though they played early in the season, Texas has the head-to-head victory. They were more prepared, even it being week 2.
Yeah, so. I think Alabama. I mean, if Alabama wins, I think you could consider putting Alabama in. But I think depending on Texas does in the Big Ten championship, then you might consider dropping Oregon out.
You might have to.
Yeah. I would agree as well, because if we're gonna go by the math of what you guys were saying, that if Alabama wins, Texas should get in. I think that if Oregon wins, then you're gonna have they beat Washington, but Alabama in this situation beat Georgia. They both beat an undefeated team as a 1-loss team, and Alabama.
You could put Texas and Alabama in.
That's what I'm saying. Well, okay, because
Well, no, you can't. You
Well,
have to
no,
leave
because then
Oregon. You have to leave Oregon.
who you leaving out? You can't leave out Michigan.
The Michigan's in. Florida State probably comes out.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, do you think it's
That's
going to be
tough.
because Travis is out? Like, I think that they're thinking logically
Florida
about
State
ratings.
struggled against Florida. I mean, they struggled.
They struggled bad. They didn't really take control of the game until the second half. But I mean, we're gonna have to, I think, honestly, this weekend, because the only two teams in this whole picture that have played each other have been well. I don't think any of us are arguing that the Pac-12 loser this weekend needs to be in. I think we're all pretty set on the
Pac-12 winner
might get in. Yeah, no, I'm saying we're all pretty set on the winner. Most likely is gonna, or may possibly get in.
Michigan's as a, you can write them in now.
Yeah, they're Michigan's in. Unless they could win in double overtime this weekend and they would be fine. And then you got Georgia. If Georgia wins, then those two are just already locked up.
Slam dunks, right?
And then then you got who? Texas, Florida State. I mean, do we even know the Florida State's going to beat Louisville? But even if they do, though, I think it's going to have to be based a lot on I would just say more
Quality
resume. I think that's the most quality of win, because I don't think, I mean, granted, if a team wins by 50 this weekend and just doesn't make mistakes and just goes out there and plays their best, I would consider that, especially considering that a good amount of these teams, I mean, Alabama, Georgia, Washington, Oregon, Texas, like all those teams have a real shot.
I think the teams that have the chance to have the biggest snubs, be snubbed the most, are Oregon and Texas.
I feel like Texas too, as much as I hate to admit it. I think I mean, because
those are the ones if they get left out, the ones they're going to feel snubbed the hardest. Again, assuming let's just say for the sake of argument that Oregon does beat Washington in the Pac-12 championship.
I don't think they'll leave Washington out undefeated. Oregon, they're done if they obviously lose. But I think Washington, you have to put them in. I mean, but they've looked
if Washington were to win, then they're in. Yes, but I'm saying that if Oregon were to win,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, again, depending on how the other games shake out, Oregon may still win the Pac-12 but not make it in.
Very possible.
I think that's more likely. Them winning the Pac-12 championship and not getting in is a lot more likely than Washington winning and not getting in. Oregon has Washington's on the outside, or Washington's inside.
They've got the inside track for sure.
Yeah.
But
what do you guys say we move on to the question?
Sounds good to me. Before I get pulled away like Adam Schefter again.
I was gonna say, who's got the question tonight? If no one has it, I got it.
Nice.
Go ahead and take it, Casey.
Okay. So and I want you boys to answer this first. What would be, say if you were a GM of a basketball team, what would be your dream starting five? Ian, go.
Present or past? Or included?
Any players of all time.
Okay. You got to fill a starting
point guard is Magic.
Pick 5 people.
Point guard is Magic. Shooting guard, it would have to be Michael Jordan.
Of course.
Small forward, LeBron James. Now, here's what I would do, and I was mentioning this a while back. I would put Kareem at power forward and Wilt at center. I know they obviously both play center, but I think that Kareem could score, 16 feet away from the basket, and then Wilt would just physically dominate everybody, and we win by 60 every game. And then Kobe would be the sixth man. I say Larry Bird, because he come off the bench and just hit those threes.
That's fair. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I've got Magic at point for sure. Michael at shooting guard, absolutely. Yeah, I like Ian's picks a lot. I really do. Let's see, I would probably have
your small forward's next. Obviously, we know who your small forward's going to be.
Yeah, it's LeBron. I'm not stupid.
It seemed like you were hesitant. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say Larry Bird.
I wasn't thinking about small forward. I was trying to think about center or power forward, actually. Center, I'd probably put Kareem.
Yeah. Center Kareem, okay.
Just height and just overall, yeah, it's Kareem. Power forward, though, I don't know if I'd want. I mean, Wilt is a great option, but I almost want to say Dirk.
I was
Love that
thinking
pick.
that too.
Love that pick. I'm a huge Dirk fan.
I want to say Dirk. Yeah, I'll say Dirk, power forward, and Larry Legend coming off the bench for sure.
Legend coming off the bench. Can't beat that. Fun fact, Dirk's my second favorite player of all time.
Behind Iverson.
Yes, sir. Behind Iverson. So, my starting five, boys, and I built mine a little differently than you guys did. I didn't go with the best individual player at their position. I base it off who I think would work the best and work off each other. With that being said, my point guard, Steph Curry. My shooting guard, Michael Jordan, obviously. My small forward, Kevin Durant. My power forward, LeBron James. And my center is Shaq. And the sixth man that I would have coming off that bench, Allen Iverson.
That's a wow. Yeah, that's a good one. Who was your two? Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan. The reason that I put Steph in over Magic is because Steph is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. And LeBron James, regardless if you think he's the GOAT or not, what does he do better than anyone that's ever played basketball?
Pass.
Drive the ball and kick it to the open man. And when you have a mover like Steph that is constantly moving, can find his spots with someone with like LeBron on your team and Kevin Durant, I might add, all you need to do is find your spots, and you're either going to have a one-on-one matchup, LeBron driving to the basket, and LeBron's going to win that matchup every time, or you double him, and he's going to kick it to Durant or Curry for an open three.
Yeah, and then the fact that you said Shaq, right? In the center.
Shaq is my center.
Yeah, and then because you can't. I think one of Curry's, obviously he's the main focal point of the defense, but you give him LeBron, who's Skip Bayless calls him the greatest passer of the basketball to ever live. But that's going to be a team that you just can't match up with. There's no way at all to guard them, especially like you said. That was going to be the biggest thing that I was going to bring up, the way that Steph Curry moves without the ball. Like you're not going to be as smart as of basketball plays as LeBron makes every time. If you just give him an actual, and we're not talking about, I said actual shooter, but the best shooter that ever played.
Existed.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I think your guys' lineups are phenomenal. I don't think my lineup is beatable in a 7-game series. I truly don't. When you have LeBron, Curry, Jordan, and Durant as your main scorers, especially, I mean, Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers in the history of basketball. He's a 7-footer who can create his own shots and can pull up from 30. I don't think there's a single lineup that can compete with that as far as scoring goes.
Yeah, and I think one not liability, but one vulnerability of that team could possibly be not all of granted, LeBron earlier in his career, a great defender. He could still cause problems, but they would definitely give up a lot of points. We know Shaq wasn't, the most willing always to play defense. The length would definitely bother any of the teams just because Durant's so long, but I think they might just outscore everybody. I don't even think that might become an issue. I think that team would it's in a matchup nightmare. I mean, LeBron's almost shooting 38% this year. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think you just bludgeon everyone to death with that. I mean, the lineup it's hard to argue that they would get beat, but.
Now, granted, I will fully admit I went a little biased with my 6-man pick. There's a lot of other players I could have gone, but I threw a little bias into my 6-man pick, so it's okay.
Who'd you go again?
Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
it's a little, but I mean, he honestly brings something completely different than everybody else. He doesn't pass.
He was, let's not forget, he was a walking bucket in his prime.
Yeah, he was. Absolutely was.
Ian, I think you know this, and this is before. I'm such in a basketball mode now because we've been talking about this. I don't know if Justin knows this. I've told Ian this before. The 2000 from 2007 to 2010, there was a player that I was following super heavy, and he would have been a star had his knees not given out. I'm not talking about Greg Oden, but do you boys know who I'm
I know
talking about?
exactly who you're talking about.
Who am I talking about?
Brandon Roy.
Yes. I was such a big Brandon Roy fan. Oh my goodness, I loved watching him play. He had it all for a basketball player. He just couldn't stay healthy, unfortunately. He
was the Dame of the early 2000s.
Yeah, he really was, man. I loved Brandon Roy's game. He was one of my absolute favorite players to watch. I can't put him in my top favorite players just because there wasn't enough of him.
Right.
But man, I loved watching Brandon Roy.
There's a great player who had potential, but just injuries derailed him completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. He was phenomenal offensively when he was healthy, and he just unfortunately that wasn't the case for him. He could not maintain his health. With that being said, boys, I think this was another phenomenal show. It's always great to be here with you guys. I just gotta say that. I think we find a great way every single week to talk about what's happening in the world of sports, and I love the way how we have our own unique takes, and I think we all bring a certain level to it that truly makes the show something special. And it's an honor, boys. It really is. It's an honor to do the show with you guys.
One of these weeks we need to do it on camera.
We really do. That's one upgrade that Mixed Reactions needs. I don't know, because we get about 20 viewers an episode. I don't know how many of you are random viewers that just happen to stumble upon us. We will eventually do this with camera, guys, and you'll eventually, hopefully, tell your friends about this show. I truly think this is a great show to have on in a car ride. It's a great show to throw on your headphones through a workout, just to hear some fools like us talk about sports. We truly could use some more following. It's fun to do this show.
Follow.
Like, subscribe, follow, anything you can. Comment, tell your friends, tell your grandmother, tell your cat. We don't care who you tell. Just fucking tell somebody about this show, please.
I don't even think we had 20 viewers. That's what I was going to say. It's more like 3. And that's because every time I go to it, it switches from 2 to 3. And I go to it like
I
3
looked at the show that was uploaded yesterday, and I think we have 10 viewers for the first day.
Shit. Moving on up.
Moving on up to the east side to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
You know who had a good theme song? The Golden Girls. Like, no bullshit. You ever heard it? Thank you for.
Yes, I've heard the Golden Girls theme song. Who hasn't?
Yeah. I don't know. I just like that song.
Travel down this road and back again.
Your heart is true. Yeah.
You're a pal and a compradon.
Oh, yeah. Casey knows what's up. All right, everybody.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, Canada. Don't forget to bring a tail.
Faggots.